Praise be Jesus Christ, now and forever. My purpose in this week's Nugget is twofold: to introduce you or to encourage you to get to know better a great saint, and to use his witness as a guide and example for us. This Nugget, by the way, is number 98, so in 2 weeks we'll have reached 100 weeks of these short meditations. I'm sure various governments throughout the world will proclaim national holidays in celebration. The saint you should know, perhaps you do already, maybe know better, is a giant in the life of the early church, St. Polycarp of Smyrna in present-day Turkey, but then considered Syria. Polycarp was martyred by being burned alive around the year 155 AD. We have an eyewitness account of his martyrdom, and we also have at least one authentic document written by St. Polycarp, his epistle to the Philippians. His writings, along with the other writings of the apostolic fathers like St. Ignatius of Antioch, are, after the Acts of the Apostles, some of the earliest Christian writings. This is our first lesson regarding the importance of St. Polycarp. He was a disciple of St. John the Apostle. He sat and listened to John describe his time with Jesus, what Jesus had said, what Jesus had done. Tradition states that it was St. John himself who ordained Polycarp, the Bishop of Smyrna. The testimony of St. Polycarp, his orthodoxy, places the tradition of the Church on rock-solid ground. In their writings, the Apostolic Fathers, so called because they were the disciples of the Apostles, described to us the Church we could recognize, and more importantly, they could recognize the Church of today as the authentic Church. We see a Church with the threefold ministry of bishop, priest, and deacon. We see the Eucharist as central to the life of the Church, and not as some bare memorial, but as the very body and blood of Christ. We hear the essence of the Apostles' Creed confirming the virginal birth of Christ. St. Polycarp himself went to Rome to consult with the Pope Anicetus, a fellow Syrian, on the date of Easter. This historical evidence for the life of the early church is enormously important. The church of the first century is the church of the 21st century. That's a historical fact, and it needs to be said. St. Polycarp was martyred at the age of 86. This great saint, so venerated by his people while alive, was venerated even more after his death. Apart from the fidelity of his witness unto death, his martyrdom, as I thought of what St. Polycarp can tell us today, apart from that incredible historical continuity, it was the striking fact of the brutality of killing a man at the age of 86 that powerfully struck me. The health, or what we might call the goodness, of a society can be measured by the way it treats two groups of people, the very young and the very old. We might add, of course, the sick. Many people comment about the societal similarities between the first centuries of the life of the Church and contemporary society. Roman civilization, we know, had scant regard for both those groups of people, and we know it was the witness of Christians, both in never aborting their children, rescuing and adopting babies abandoned on the streets, and never killing their elderly, that helped convert a decaying society to Christianity. Our progressive society needs that witness again, the witness of a Polycarp and the witness of faithful Christian families. What happened during COVID in Britain and the United States, and I'm sure in other countries, to the elderly, and at least in Britain to the disabled, was every bit as depraved as late Roman culture. Our healthy and progressive Western societies, with the smiling authoritarianism typified by so many contemporary leaders, hails a country like Iceland for eliminating all Down syndrome's births. This is not progress, but savagery. Let the elderly and venerable Polycarp, speak to us of life, death, and the dignity of every human being made in God's image, from conception to natural death. Brethren, rejoice, be perfected, be comforted, be of the same mind, be at peace, and the God of peace and love will be with you.